Here. So we got iPad Pro, the normal iPad. Which one should we start with? Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. So straight up iPad, but this is different. This has the new design, or at least the design from the iPad Pro, which has like the much smaller bezels, no more home button. Not to mention, we've got quite a few new colors with this. They've got blue, pink, yellow, and silver. But we've also got
new 10th generation baseline iPad, and it's in one of those bright new colors too. And this thing has a slightly new design, which is overall improved. The home button is gone, and it's a pretty familiar rectangular shape now with flatter sides. The new colors are actually kind of saturated, which is neat. This one here is yellow, but there's also a pink and a blue on top of the Safe Bet silver. It's slightly less saturated than it looks on Apple's website though. There's a Touch ID button up top, so you do get biometric unlocking even though there's no home button. Thinner bezels, thinner anyway, and a slightly larger 11-inch LCD screen up front. Landscape stereo speakers, a bump from an 8 to a 12 megapixel camera on the back, and an A14 Bionic chip inside. Not their newest, but it's a step up from the A13 Bionic that's in the 9th gen iPad. So none of that is confusing. They're modernizing the baseline iPad, great. But then that's where some of the weirdness starts. So first of all, upgrades to USB Type-C. Finally. Now it's not Thunderbolt speeds or anything, but hey, you can now finally plug in USB-C flash drives. You can charge fast. You can even plug in an external display up to 4K 30 Hz or 1080p 60 Hz, which you were definitely not doing with a Lightning port before. I had been asking for USB-C, getting it in the base iPad now is great. It's confusing though, because they also announced that this iPad will support the first generation Apple Pencil, which, if you remember, it's Lightning. This was the pencil that infamously, hilariously plugged into the bottom of the old iPads to charge via that Lightning port. But if we're USB-C now, then that means, oh god, oh no, it's happening. This needs a USB-C to Lightning adapter to charge the pencil. I'm sure no one will ever lose this. It also comes in this separate piece of packaging. It doesn't come in the iPad box or in the Apple Pencil box. It's more packaging, which is a little more wasteful. But also, yeah, if you ever do lose it and need another one, $9. But I'm still just thinking like, Apple, you made a new pencil, a second gen pencil that's way better. The second generation pencil snaps onto the side of the iPad Air or the iPad Pro with magnets and charges wirelessly. Where is that one here? I feel like I've been through every version of this in my head, but basically what I've come up with is some people would probably say that Apple knows that there are going to be groups of people, businesses, schools that have the older 9th generation iPad and they have pencils, and they're going to want to continue using those pencils when they upgrade to this new iPad. That's why they kept support for the old Apple Pencil. And to those people, I would say, but you make both. ¿Por qué no los dos? Why not both? So honestly, the real answer is most likely because this is the first ever iPad to move the webcam to that long side, the long bezel. Low-key, that might be the best change in this whole piece of hardware. So now when you're on video calls or doing anything while looking at the camera, it'll actually look like you're looking at the camera instead of way off to the side like in every other iPad. So this is a welcome change. But now that means the spot that you'd normally slap on the second generation Apple Pencil with magnets and a cutout, well, that's now populated by webcam housing. And the other side has the smart pins, which I'll get to in a second. And then the top and the bottom are speakers. And apparently it would be too un-Apple-like to put it like off to the side, you know, asymmetrical like that or something, just to have space for the cutouts. Basically, Apple also came out with their new M2 iPad Pro at the same time as this. That also has a 12 megapixel ultra-wide webcam with center stage, just like this one, but it's not moved to the long side. It's still on that side spot, which leads me to believe that Apple views this as a direct compromise.
But now, something I was super excited about is this Magic Keyboard Folio. Now, why am I excited about this, right? This thing has a whole row of function keys that I am super pumped about. Let's just get right into it. All right, you get the keyboard or the folio, and that's about it. That's all you get. Now, what's interesting is this is not like the Magic Keyboard. This is a folio. So with the folios, that means it comes in two pieces. One that goes on the back, and it's got like this nice smooth material, like this felt material back here. Nice little cushion for your iPad to sit on, boom. And since we have our smart connectors at the bottom of the iPad, magnetically sits right there. What's also cool is this thing in the back has a kickstand. So now you're in full-blown laptop mode-ish, tablet, keyboard thing mode. Yeah. Oh, snap. The Folio keyboard has paperwork too. I was wondering about that. This is a really great change, adding this function row, because this is something I feel like is missing from the Magic Keyboard that I use every day with my iPad Pro. But yeah, this is probably the thing I was most excited to hear about. It completely completes the keyboard.
What does the function key have?
The function keys? So we've got escape key, we've got our brightness controls, mission control over here so you can see your previous apps, your spotlight or your search, your dictation button over here, or Siri. This puts you in do not disturb. You got your media controls down here, as well as your volume controls and your lock. So those are all the
Does not get Stage Manager. Not that Stage Manager is, that amazing or anything, but this would have been nice for people who want to use that USB-C, plug it into an external monitor, and get a little bit more window management, a little bit more of that multitasking going on. But this one won't do that. Weird. But then the biggest head scratcher of them all has got to be the prices, right? So this is still a $250 keyboard and case accessory. And then this new iPad here is starting at $450, which is a pretty big price bump from the 9th gen iPad we just upgraded from, which stays in Apple's lineup at $330 unchanged. This might be kind of a hot take, but I don't really understand why this one exists. Like, I'm not even saying it's a bad product. It's a perfectly good iPad. It works. It does all the things. It's got the new chip. It's got the little things. It's got Wi-Fi 6 now. It's got a perfectly fine display. It's got USB-C, the new colors. It's thin. It's a tablet. It's fine. It's weird. Like, if you just want a basic iPad, this person still exists, right? Oh, I just want to get a basic iPad. That's the schools, the businesses, that's the moms getting it to like put it in a giant foam case and like hand it to their kid to watch videos. Like, I just need an iPad. That's still the $329 9th gen iPad. It's $100-something cheaper. It's a better deal. That's still the one I would recommend for those people. But then the second you think like, ooh, I might want a little bit more from my iPad. I want to do a little more, right? Pseudo computer a little bit. The second you think, oh, I want it to be a real computer, this is 64 gigs at the baseline. In 2022, not real computer storage. So you bump up to real computer storage. And
this has Wi-Fi 6E. So if you have a compatible router, you will get faster speeds. But those are literally the only two things that are different. But of course, with M2, that means we are going to see increased performance with up to 15% faster CPU performance, as well as up to 35% faster graphics and 50% more bandwidth. But yeah, this is just a more powerful version of last year. So if you already own an M1, chances are you don't need to upgrade. But for the newest model with the exact same price, you are getting a better device. Now, where something like the M2 is going to have some real benefit are of course going to be some of those pro grade apps. Now, for the pros out there, you might have heard DaVinci Resolve is coming to the iPad. So you'll be able to do video editing, your color grading all within that. And that's something we're pretty excited about. I think the only thing we could count on before was like LumaFusion, but now DaVinci Resolve is like a serious editing app that a lot of people are familiar with. So it's gonna be cool to see that.
And this plus this is $850. What? I mean, you could get an iPad Air for that price. You could get an iPad Pro for that price. You could also just get a computer for that price. So this is a strange combination of things to exist together for that amount of money. Like, even without the keyboard, this iPad, 64 gigs in 2022 for $450 it's just weird. So in conclusion, this is a slightly strange set of stuff slotted between sweet and simple. Sufficient for some, but pretty silly for most. Thanks for watching.